Fast Forward Productions. The women are speaking. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the One Broke Actress podcast, an honest account of actor life plus a few lessons I learned in the process. I am your host, Sam Valentine, and today we have a very special episode to my heart and to those of you watching this on YouTube, because we have YouTube sensation, Streamy Award winner, 4 million subscriber, Michelle Khare. Her channel, often known as Challenge Accepted, is an incredible YouTube channel where she tries out tons of different things, like training to be an Olympic boxer, or joining the FBI Academy, or joining the Miss America crew. All of this stuff that she does, from most physical to least physical, like becoming a chess champion, she does on camera, produced by herself and her team. And like I said, 4 million subscribers later, she has a lot to teach us. By the way, the biggest reason I reached out to Michelle, not only because I'm a huge fan of her work and I love her channel so much, but also because she posted on her socials that she took an acting class recently and didn't make a video out of it. In fact, she took a 2-year Meisner technique class, which she talks about in today's video. And that to her was something special that didn't go on her channel. She's been represented as an actor for years now. And while she is working on actively auditioning ish, right? We're all in a strike. But she also shares how the YouTube world is connected to the acting world, how she got her agent from her social media originally, how she leverages a very good email. Because by the way, if you're emailing the FBI and asking for permission to film inside of their training facility, you better be damn good at emails. So she breaks down an exact email template that she uses when she reaches out to these people. And I swear to God, you can steal this for reps and all future endeavors going forward. We cover so much in this episode, and I really hope you guys stick to the end because there's a lot of content at the end of the episode all about how she wishes people would see traditional media like film and television versus digital media like all of the socials. We have a lot to learn in this episode, and I, for one, am geeking out, so let's get to it. Without further ado, please enjoy Michelle Khare. I'm so excited to have you because it gave me an excuse to sit in front of YouTube for hours and hours and hours this week.
Oh my God.
Is one of my do. So I have a question for you to start off because I want to know what it is that you watch on YouTube.
Oh my gosh. I think there are so many amazing creators on YouTube. And lately, some channels I've been really into are Dodford is one of the ones I'm super into. Dodford is a content creator and he makes these beautiful video essay documentaries. They're beautifully animated and they're about various celebrities. So he's done one on Drew Barrymore, Keanu Reeves, he had one go viral about Adam Sandler. I'm very fascinated with the intersection of traditional and digital. And so his channel covers a lot of that. I love Ryan Trahan. I think he's great. Eric is great. I think those are the main ones I've been watching lately.
Yeah, I'm always curious. I'm always curious what actors are watching and what YouTubers are watching. Because it's also
For sure, yeah.
like what your algorithm is, right? It's very, do you remember when we used to plug in our iPod at a party or something like back in the day? And it would be like so revealing, like someone gets to see like what I have, what I'm listening to. It would be so embarrassing. And I think of the same thing when my husband like turns on the YouTube and our Apple TV, because it's my account. I'm like, oh God, what's going to come up? It's going to be like how to make a minimalist closet, but also like, here's the financial diet. And also here's Challenge Accepted. Like,
Right,
it's like kind of a mess. So in case people don't know what you do, I'll have done an intro explaining it, but do you describe yourself as a YouTuber? Do you describe yourself as a filmmaker? Like, what's your go-to verbiage for yourself?
Oh my gosh. For myself, I guess content creator is probably the more modern term people have been coining lately. And I like that because to me, it could encompass someone who works in digital, who works in traditional, who is in front of, behind the camera, acting, hosting, whatever it may be. And I think that that is where our industry is headed, is people existing in multi-hyphenate places, and also why the strike for SAG is so important right now. our culture is evolving and as our role as on-camera talent is evolving beyond classic, what you'd expect just acting, I think that our industry needs to evolve as well.
Yeah. Has that affected you at all, the strikes and stuff?
I don't even know what term, whether to say it's fortunate or unfortunate that we are not impacted by the strikes. I mean, I am pro strike for sure. I mean, I think that the rights of the writers and the actors and all of the ancillary departments need to be reevaluated. And so I'm really, really excited and hopeful for what this strike could mean for everybody. And, even as a digital talent who's none of our productions are union, but, when the union sets the standard for something, we still follow union rules on all of our sets. So it's exciting for us too. And we have the privilege of all of these people going to bat for us in different ways.
Yeah, I love that idea of it. And because if you look at a YouTuber, for example, any sort of content creator, to be honest, you are oftentimes the writer and the producer
Yeah.
and the talent. And looking at your videos, I'm like, she is doing everything. And when I show up to set, I'm often just like doing my one job. Like a lot of people are multi-hyphenate, but it depends on the day, right? But you're doing high level stuff that's all the jobs. Like, how do you keep track of all of the things you're doing at all the times?
Well, first of all, I think it's very humble of you to say that you're only doing one thing because as an auditioning actor, I think that every auditioning actor is a content creator. You are DPing your own self tapes. You are editing them. You are choosing selects. You're self-directing. You are casting the reader on the other side of the screen. Like that is so much work. And again, one of the reasons why the strike is so important. But I definitely think that you're doing way more than just showing up on set by the time you get there because there's a lot of work that goes in just to getting to that position. But as far as like balancing everything in the YouTube space, I mean, it is a lot for sure. Like on my own videos, I take kind of the role of producing, but now we have two amazing producers who are helping with that. So like as you grow in the digital space, those roles become a bit more traditional. You definitely I start out doing literally everything end to end. And then slowly along the way, you start outsourcing those things to an editor or to a director or even a producer. So now I definitely feel like our team is 7 people. So there's a lot of support and we have, various freelancers coming in and out for a variety of different positions. So I definitely have a huge benefit and an amazing team to work with. So that's awesome. But it is a lot to balance, that's for sure. Like in any given day around here, it's crazy. Like I'm training for anywhere from like 1 to 3 videos at once. So like there have been days where in the morning I'll go, like there was one day where I piloted a fighter jet for NASA astronaut training in the morning. And literally we're like doing flips in the sky, zero gravity. We land and I threw up because it's insane. If anyone who hasn't experienced astronaut training, it's something else. I don't know how any of the actors for First Man or any of those movies got through it all. Then that afternoon, I went to ballet training. So within the same day, the variety of scope of things that happen around here is so exciting and so wonderful and totally the dream lifestyle for sure that I've always wanted. But it is very, very intense. And much like acting, in my opinion, is an athletic art form. Like acting is a full body experience. So is hosting these videos and just being in the zone of it all the time. And I think the benefit of doing a YouTube channel is when you have done a YouTube channel, typically for most people, you've then worked every set position. So now if I'm ever hired like on another set or a traditional set, I feel like I have a much better technical understanding of everything that's going on and also just empathy for, oh my God, I need to get this take in one take because the guy holding the boom pole is overextending his arms. And the longer I take to figure out my acting stuff or whatever, it impacts everybody else on set. And I think that knowledge and empathy and awareness is really important for the modern actor or just anyone on camera.
Well, and so much of what you just said in that like crazy kooky day is actually what we do. Same thing with acting, right? Is like except for that, like, we don't actually get to be in the plane half the time. Like, we're maybe pretending and then we're going to a set, or we're pretending for this role and then we're going to do a commercial audition. We're like, we're the captain of the Captain Crunch ship or whatever it is. So is there things you do to balance yourself out between those sort of extreme scenarios where when that does get to being on camera, people don't know that you just came from working on this video to do this video, right? Like, so how do you take care of that?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the example you just gave of driving around LA, going to 3 different auditions, each of them is like 10 pages and completely different characters, is in a way what I'm kind of doing every day, navigating the ins and outs of the videos and making sure that one video doesn't impact the other. Like, I can't tell the story in one video of I just came from pool training for this other thing. And I think that the transition time between each period of intensity is so important. Again, like whether or not you're in your car driving from one place to the next, that transition time is really the golden time and like your preparation. And so on any given day when we're shooting multiple things, I try to give myself as much time as I can, at least like ideally an hour, even if it's in the car and I'm doing prep in the car, to recheck my notes and fully decompress from the prior experience. You know, just like acting preparation, it's sometimes music, it's sometimes looking at a Google Doc of research I have about the next thing I'm about to host or lead in. And sometimes it is just talking with the other people on the crew, having somebody walk me through, okay, these are the next things we're about to do and whatnot. But yeah, it's very similar to driving around the city and like I'm auditioning for HBO and now I'm, like you said, Captain Crunch or whatever. But yeah, that compartmentalization, it's like when you're doing like cardio sprints and the recovery period between each is still hard. It's still hard for sure.
Yeah. What do you do to unwind at the end of the day? Because your days change so often and you travel a lot. What's your like wrap up, come down routine?
I guess watching traditional media, because I experience a lot of digital. So like when I watch YouTube, I love watching YouTube. I'm definitely a consumer of it, but also I feel like in a way it's a bit of work. Like it puts me in that headspace because now I just can't help but, maybe you feel similarly when you watch a TV show or a movie. I can't help but think about the breakdown of how did they shoot this? What was happening? Like, what can I learn from this? So I'll watch some YouTube, but then also some, like scripted or even unscripted content. I love Survivor. But a lot of people ask me like, oh, what's your hobby? I'm very fortunate that my hobbies are the work. I guess like the things I'm interested in kind of manifest in videos. And so for me, true relaxation is literally doing nothing. Like that is such a privilege, I feel.
Yeah. Are you like a meditator? You like after the shower, I put on pajamas and then I'm like done working for the day, especially because what you do is oftentimes it's easier for me because I often put on a character. So when you're filming stuff, it's still you. So do you put a kibosh on like the end of the day? This is when we're done filming. This is when I'm done being like on camera on, quote unquote. Like, what do you do? Is like physical things you do?
So the transition between work mindset and relaxation mindset, there's like a transition activity, whether it's like I'm going to shower or change clothes, put on pajamas, and really get in that headspace of detaching from the day. Another thing that my husband and I do, because we work together and, obviously live together, have a romantic life together, is called the 5:30 rule, which means after 5:30, if you want to talk about work, you have to ask permission. And this is really cool because it's just like asking for consent, It's an opportunity for the other person to say, "No, I don't want to talk about work. I'm not in that headspace." Or honestly, yeah, it sounds really fun. Let's brainstorm something together, even if it's after work. But that has been really helpful too.
Yeah. Boundaries are so important. How has it been working with your husband? Because you guys have worked together for a while. If anybody hasn't seen the video, we will link it below. But you also planned your wedding in a week?
Yeah.
Whose idea was that?
It was my idea. Well, I guess I don't remember. I think it was my idea, but honestly, the premise behind that video was not like, can we speed run wedding planning? Because you should enjoy every milestone in life, right? But in my opinion, what I found was a pattern of us in planning our wedding was like, we'd spend a little bit of time after work here or a little time on the weekend. And it just felt this added chore every week that we were doing. Obviously it was fun, but on top of everything else, it's quite a lot. And the other issue was when you do it spread out like that, like a little bit here every week, like most people do, every time we would revisit the conversation, I'd have to remind myself, like, but what were the flowers we picked? I don't remember. Does this go with that? And so then I just said, let's just clear a week, 5 days, and have every single vendor meeting back to back to back. And it was so awesome because we made a cohesive plan in one sitting. Now we came prepared, like we had spent a lot of time on like Pinterest or whatever, but we were able to like very easily remember from one decision to the next what we were looking for. And honestly, if you're able to take a week off of work with your fiance and just plan the whole thing in a week with the support of a family member or a wedding planner or a coordinator to plan all the meetings for you, I could not recommend it even more, because then the rest of the engagement, we were just having fun being engaged. Like, and anytime a relative asked a question like, well, what's happening? It was already done. So it was really great. So we didn't plan it for a week and then get married at the end of the week. We planned it in a week and then had months before the event itself to be normal, I guess.
Be normal. Enjoy the process that like you
to enjoy
fast tracked.
Yeah, exactly.
Kim, do you ever catch yourself, because everything you do, not everything you do, but so much of what you do is like filmed and set up for public viewing. Are there things in your life that you're like, this is my private life? Like, what is this is why the reason I reached out to you originally, one, is I'm a huge fan, and two, because you posted a video that you talked about, I took an acting class. This was for me. I'm not making a video about this.
Yeah.
What are those delineations? What are those lines?
Wow, that's a really great question. And I was so excited when you reached out, by the way. I am such a fan of you and the honesty that you bring to the craft and the profession of the craft. I think what you're doing, obviously, like so many people are impacted by what you do, and as am I. As far as like filming or not filming, I actually kind of have the benefit of a lot of our videos have a bit of separation from me in a way, because I am entering someone else's community. For example, my channel isn't like my daily vlog, Michelle going around. I don't know. What do daily vloggers do? Like, their lives are so cool.
I don't know. But just so you know, like, I would watch it. I would absolutely still watch it. I love it. In fact,
I don't think anyone would watch it.
No. Not that you need the suggestion, but like if you had a second unit crew just following you around for like a week in the life, I would watch the shit out of that series, because I want to know like how she does it.
You know what? We've kind of thought about doing something like that, and then the production of getting a behind the scenes crew to some of the places we film is insane. I definitely hear you, and I feel like there's an opportunity to share more about what we do behind the scenes. But yeah, my channel isn't about me, Michelle, living my LA life, doing influencer things, I guess. Again, because I think if someone followed me around today, it would be like, I'm on the computer doing phone calls and things like that. Like, it's not that glamorous. And so I think like that is all private for me. Like a lot of how we make the videos is like our team's private thing, I suppose. And a lot of aspects of my relationship and friendships are not on camera in any capacity. I'm friends with a lot of people that aren't influencers. The majority of my friend group is not on camera people. Like, if anything, they're all behind the camera in the industry, but I'm pretty private with that stuff. Like, even our home and living space, family, I'm pretty private with all of that. And then as far as like deciding what will and won't be on camera with the acting class, I originally had an idea to do a video about joining a program and training like an actor. At the end, doing some final tests, like a short film, or auditioning for a big casting director, right?
Yeah.
I think that would be a fantastic video. However, when it came down to it, I personally had to kind of have this moment where I thought, if the best training I can receive is in a class where there's no cameras, because then, less so for me, like I'm comfortable doing whatever and putting my failures online for sure, but the classmates are such a big part of the acting experience. I think that the conservatory program that I did, for example, that class of 20 people are what made the program what it was. The only way for me to really do a video following my progress, I guess, would have been one-on-one private sessions. And that's just not the same. I mean, as you or many people listening to this know, if you've ever been in an acting class, like working with your partner and changing partners and trying lots of different characters, that's all part of the process. And while I'm comfortable on camera, I wouldn't venture to assume 20 other people are. Their progress and stories are so important, and most people don't want a sandbox that's going to be protected. Like, most people do the class to really test themselves and then show their best work in the audition room. And I know, like, for my videos, I need to fail publicly for there to be a great story. And those are moments I would want to include, but I would never want like any other person on camera to feel like they were in a situation where like, oh, my failure is now a part of this thing or whatever. Like, I felt like all the other actors would just want to put their best foot forward if it was going to be filmed. So we did film our final performance. Actually, my team actually filmed it. So that was great. So we all have like little demo reel things from all of our final scenes. So that was a wonderful way for me to like bring my world to the acting class. But I really just knew that I just needed to put my head down and do the work. I was sort of getting in this position where I've always wanted to act, as many 99% of people in LA have. And I knew, like, for me at least, not having gone to acting school, that I could try and leverage social media to get representation. And so that's what I did. I worked on growing social media to get representation, and then I started going out on auditions. Huge privilege to get to do that. But then I would be going on auditions against people who went to Juilliard or NYU or USC or whatever, or, you know, grew up in the industry, had very long resumes. And I realized, I was like, man, I feel so fortunate to have representation. I'm being sent out, but I'm definitely a nervous auditioner. I wasn't feeling like I was putting my best foot forward, I guess. When the pandemic happened, I was like, this is a really amazing opportunity for me, while that there's not really any auditions, for me to get in a class and work my ass off and make the craft as good as I possibly can be. And I do think, like, I've done other like acting stuff even without the class, you know, but I just felt like, as someone who, like, I'm an athlete at heart, I respond very well to coached situations. Like, if you give me a training plan, I can follow it. And I was like, I need to do that with acting. So that was kind of the objective for the class. And it totally kicked my ass. And in so many ways, like in the craft, in the balance of like, and now I'm going to NASA training, then ballet training. Now I'm in acting class.
Yeah, I was going to ask,
fitting it
like,
in through everything was.
Yeah, how did it fit into with your already existent lifestyle? Because I think sometimes when we see someone on camera showing like, this is what I'm working on right now, we assume that the rest of their life kind of like, and mentally for some reason we think that the rest of the world melts away and all that they're doing is this particular thing. Like, I think people think that on these days I record podcasts, it's like the rest of the world melts away and like I'm only podcasting and like then I'm gonna go like drink a green juice or something. Like, no, I'm literally sweating right now because I worked out earlier and I haven't changed my clothes and I just changed my top for you and put on makeup. Like, it's like, and then I'm gonna go walk my thank you so much. Ring lights out. But like, and then I'm gonna go, you know, walk my dogs and then I have to answer 16 emails and all of this stuff. So it's never.
And then you have an audition after that, you know, in normal times, I should say.
In normal times. I was going to say a girl could dream. But, you know, it's never is just one thing. So how did you balance it when you're doing such big things and those big things are also your paycheck?
It was very, very difficult. And there were definitely moments where things were like coming to a head, if I'm fully honest.
Which program was it?
Elizabeth Mestnik Acting Studio. So I got accepted at the end of 2021, I want to say, in the program. And that was during, I know discussing the pandemic at this point in time is so bizarre because it just feels like, did that even happen? I don't know. Yeah. But for me, it was kind of with our channel in this like interstitial phase where things still weren't fully open. Like, there was still so much COVID testing and stuff required. I mean, when I started the class, we were wearing masks and everything. So there wasn't like a ton of travel or anything still for my channel. So the first several months were great. And then as the summer of 2022 hit, a lot of things started opening up. And it was this juggling act because the class was 4 times a week. So there are 2 classes, and then outside class, you have 2 rehearsals. And so we were doing gymnastics with our schedule where it was like, okay, Michelle's going to be in class. And then the second class ends. We're driving to LAX and getting on a plane, shooting for 2 days. And then we're going to fly back and be back in class by 10 a.m. Friday. And I'm so grateful that everyone on our team was game for it. I mean, also I was producing the videos, so I was able to kind of do it in my favor at that point. But there were times where like I would book a like very exciting and important hosting job, 0 notice, as you know, these things happen, and have to miss a crucial class. And like that sucks when your partner has to last minute find out their partner isn't going to be there. And so I actually finished the first year of the program. And for a long time, I was like, I don't think I can do the second year because things are way too crazy. And so what actually happened was I worked out a deal with the studio. They were very generous with me where I said, just let me be an alternate in the class. Like, let me be like an understudy for the class. So I'll sit in the back, and if anybody's sick, I'll be the other person's partner for the day. I'm so fortunate that they allowed me to do that because I actually had like perfect attendance for like the first 4 months of class, ironically, when I was doing this. And then things started picking up.
Funny.
But
it's funny what happens when you take the pressure off of something.
Yes. Then everything works out. It was great because, in a class of 20 something people every week, someone's going to have something going on. So I actually kind of got to experience like a very small taste of what it's like to be a swing in a Broadway show where it's like, oh, you're going on in an hour and you've got to find your partner and rehearse and memorize all these lines. And it was a wonderful exercise for me just having a new partner every week. There was no like, I'm getting comfortable with my partner in the scene. It was like a new person every week, just like it would be for an audition. And then eventually they allowed me to be a part of the class fully and finish out the course, which was great. I had the best partners who were so understanding and so generous with their time, willing to go to mega classes with me, meet at the most bizarre times of the day. And really, like I said earlier, that group of people is one I've been seeking. Like, I think like every actor who has studied and enjoyed the process at some point in their career has had like a group of people that are just unforgettable and made them the actor they are today. And I was fortunate to have that experience in a Meisner program when I was 16. And so ever since then, I've been looking for that again. And I just haven't found it in LA. Honestly, I found a lot of the classes to be so exterior focused, so focused on booking the part and less so on like get your hands dirty and break yourself down and build yourself up. And that's exactly what I got with that group of people.
That's awesome. How did you find this class?
I found this class because another friend of mine who I really respect as an actor, like extremely, extremely talented actor, he went through the program and we were working on a project together, and I was kind of talking about auditioning and just wanting to get better. And he recommended the class to me, and it's one of the highest rated Meisner programs in the city. So I felt very fortunate to get accepted and get to do it.
That's awesome. What is the difference for you from filming your content for your channel or for shorts or for social media in general versus what you're doing in an acting class?
Oh man, huge difference. I think, but a lot of overlap at the same time. Mm-hmm. I think that the acting class severely improved my on-camera performance in general for anything I do. One thing that it illuminated for me was, and I think this is an issue in general with anyone from digital who tries to go to traditional, the benefit of digital is you know how to do everything on set. The detriment is your headspace is occupied in all of those other places. And so when I went to the acting class, I found myself, when it comes to things like knowing how to do things for different lenses on camera or like cheating a certain way or like continuity, like I felt like, oh, I get all of that. But having to strip all of that away and literally all you're focusing on is the truth of the moment and your character and your partner. That to me, I realized in the jack of all trades of it all became a dulled art practice for me at least. And I really had to confront, like, I am only focusing on this one thing. So it's wonderful. And then in turn, that also helped me on my channel really realize that while I think like one of my competitive advantages is producing and making things happen, I realized that when I am producing and performing on camera, the performance on camera is negatively impacted because I'm thinking about what are the next 7 scenes we need to do after this. Am I speaking quickly enough so we can make our, time and move on to the next thing, rather than like this is someone else's priority and I'm just present with the other person I'm interviewing. I'm not acting, but being present with another person is a part of being on camera in general. And so since then, we have now hired a full-time senior producer. And so that's been just wonderful. It allows me to really focus on being on camera and also like, we were talking earlier about the rest periods between things and transition time. Previously, that transition time between multiple shoots for me would be, okay, now I'm thinking about, I need to call the next location, I'm producing ahead. Whereas now I'm exclusively focused on being on camera and the importance of that, or like even just like physically resting my body before whatever the next challenge is.
I love that though, because it's the whole ball game, right? Like being with another person. And I know a lot of what you do is especially like there's a lot of physicality to it and things like that. The thing about what you do is we watch you learn. Very rarely are we watching you like, I'm a professional at this and I'm going to show you how it's done. Like we're watching you learn. And that is a side of vulnerability that like, kind of like you said about the acting class, a lot of people might not be comfortable with. And being comfortable not being the smartest person in the room and being able to still connect with someone, like that's your ticket, sis. Like that's.
Well, thank you. Yeah. And I think like Meisner is such a great sandbox. I mean, everyone has their technique or process, but I found that Meisner was so focused on reacting honestly to what is in front of you. And to me, that's exactly what I'm doing on my channel. And a skill set I wanted to be better at was being fully honest in the moment. If something is weird or bizarre, or I have a question, really listening to that impulse on set. Again, even though I'm not listening to an impulse in the veil of a character, I'm still doing that myself. And to me, the hosting and the acting element of things are so well overlapped.
Yeah. Well, to be quite honest with you, some people are very good at being other people, but are kind of bad at being themselves. So if you have the skill set to be both, like that's exceptional. I will say you see it right now a lot with, there's a lot of actors who don't know what to share on social media because they can't share their shows right now during the strike. And it's very interesting to watch, like, who are you? Who are you without a script? Like, I know these people. So what are your acting aspirations? Where do you want to take the skill? Do you want to do more stuff with it? Like, you have representation. Are you auditioning? What's the next goal?
For sure. I am not auditioning right now. I don't know many people who are or are able to, but pro strike over here. Let's get the rights we deserve.
Yeah.
So I'm not auditioning currently, which again, kind of like the pandemic has offered an opportunity. So I'm going to take another class, which I'm really looking forward to starting in the fall. I think my acting aspirations, honestly, they have been in the past kind of, very like classic acting aspirations. Like I want to be on the guest star, then the series regular, then this, and then TV, like film, whatnot. And for me, I feel like right now, I just want to do it in any capacity that makes sense in whatever role that a director feels might be right for me. My dream would be to be in a Marvel project. I'm sure everybody says that. But I just feel that one of the reasons I started Challenge Accepted was, in addition to just my natural curiosity about the world and all these different communities that exist in it, was it's really cool if I ever audition for Chicago Fire. I've done Fire Academy. I know what it feels like to be in a burning building. Or, if I ever auditioned for 911, I have done 911 dispatch training as a part of, almost like the method, Stanislavski, like getting to know the character, preparation, and actually doing the task. I felt that I was kind of building this cool training resume of almost like the special skills on your acting resume and headshot that you give. So for me, being in a superhero project, I think would be such an amazing culmination of everything. A big, big goal for later down the line. But my dream is to like train for a role and then do it on camera. Because I think so much, again, this is just me being a physical person, but I think a lot of character development for me is within the physical body. And I think that would be the coolest manifestation of it.
I mean, there's no reason you shouldn't do that. You're a professional at training for something and then making like video proof that you can do it. That to me is what is this special skill of your resume just like stacked? Do you put all of the stuff that you've worked on in there? It would be like a laundry list.
I talked to my representation. I was like, what do we put in the special skills? And we started listing everything and they're like, this actually seems unbelievable. It's like when an actor puts like, I can do 40 different accents and I also have stage combat. Like you don't actually believe what they can do. So we narrowed it down to the things like I would actually feel comfortable doing. So
amazing. I love it. It's so fun too. That's something I aspire to do, is to get to train for a role that I get. And you've seen the value in immersing yourself into the world of something. And how does that go when you're making your videos? Because they're all doing the CSI Academy or being inside of like the FBI training or all of these things. What's a good email that you send to pitch these things? How does this happen? As actors, we send a lot of emails and we get a lot of rejections, especially from reps and things. So like, what's your secret sauce? How do we send the email for these ridiculous things?
The outreach email is something we talk about a lot internally at our team because it's definitely an art form here. I truly believe a well-crafted email can open the door to anywhere. And in our case, even the FBI, which was pretty cool. But I mean, if you want to get super technical about it.
I love a detail.
Okay, here's the detail. I think that a well-crafted pitch email is 3 short paragraphs. The first paragraph is, hi, my name is, and I was referred to you by, if applicable. I'm reaching out to you because. So the first paragraph is briefly who I am, 1 sentence, then following up with like what I'm going to ask from you and why. Maybe some compliments in there like I'm a fan of whatever and here's why I'm reaching out to you. Then the next paragraph is like your rock solid pitch. It is why that person should work with you. It's not like here is a list of my accolades. It's all of the reasons why the person reading this would want to work with you. Then the third paragraph is the next step. I would love to hop on the phone. I would love to do this. I would love the opportunity for whatever. And then closing it out and making sure that your phone number is very clearly listed. Honestly, it's that. And I do think there's some strategy with the subject line for the email too. We're very fortunate now, like at this point, we can put a subject line that's like collaboration with Michelle, 4 million subscribers on YouTube, whatever it may be. But when you're starting out, it requires some thought. But like if you're getting referred by another person, it would be referral from Jim Brown. And whatever is going to make the person open the email and then immediately be sold. And I really think that the biggest part of selling yourself over an email is really putting yourself in the shoes of the other person and trying to think about what do they need and how can I give it to them. So that's why I think a lot of cold emails that are like, I'd love to help out on your next project, be on set, be a PA, even if it's not acting, I think could be very beneficial. Or if it's for an agent and maybe you look at their roster and see that your demographic is not represented in their roster. I'd love to fulfill this demographic for your roster. I don't know what's the right way to pitch that. But just like when you open an email and it's from someone or like an online service that you've never read before or anything, you need to be thinking like, do I actually care? am I going to read past the first sentence? Because you know in the first sentence if you are or aren't.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I think you just unlocked like a secret code for a lot of people that like we're absolutely turning this into a sound clip. That was so good. That is so, because it truly is. There's also, I'm sure, do you get no emails a lot from people?
Of course. Yeah, we do. I got
Yeah.
one earlier today. Yeah, it happens all the time. I also think like with the outreach email, it needs to be specific. I think there's a temptation to make it a mass email in a form. We all know when we've gotten a mass email. And so some keys to avoiding that are like if you are referred by somebody else or if your friend is represented by whomever, even if it's like loved the work that your client did in this film, you need to actually like spend time getting to know the people. Like I personally feel that rather than just mass emailing 100 agents, pick the 15. Don't make them all from CAA, but like pick 15 from all different brackets of the hierarchy of agencies and a couple in each category and really go for those people.
You mentioned earlier that you got representation through social media. Can you talk us through what that process looked like?
The process for me was I left my job and started my YouTube channel, just started making videos consistently. And as the channel grew, started getting inbound emails from multi-channel networks, from managers, from agents. All of them wanted specifically to represent me for the YouTube channel. And so I took meetings with a bunch of people and actually declined a lot of those in the beginning because I didn't feel like any of them were the right fit. And that's another thing. I mean, you will only want to say one with somebody if you're like, this person believes in what I'm doing. Once I finally, kind of got an inbound from an agent at A3, would love my agency, who I felt like really got me for the digital side, I said, I would love the opportunity to do this if I can be signed 360. So for voiceover, for hosting, for acting and everything. And not every agent I met with was willing to do that or willing to be like, yeah, let me call theatrical and see if we can get you repped for theatrical and all these other verticals. I felt that my digital agent was actually getting the 360 picture of what I wanted to do. You don't want an agent that only sees you, in my opinion, as one hyphenate, because even if you just want to act right now, there might be a day when you want to direct or write or produce. And for me, it was really important to be with someone who believed in the longevity and the breadth and depth of my career beyond what I was doing just in that moment.
How many subscribers did you have when people started to reach out to you?
Oh my God. Probably, I guess it started happening around 100,000 subscribers. I think for a lot of agents, I don't know what it is now. It's been a few years since that. But I think for a lot of representation, that's kind of like, on the social media side at least, a beginning benchmark.
So to get to that point, that was a hell of a lot of work on your behalf, right? I think sometimes we see, like just looking at your channel now and the stuff you make, it is so high quality. Everything is beautiful. It's from different camera angles and there's different things going on. And the picture is beautiful. The thumbnail is beautiful. And we look at that and we think, well, of course she has 4 million subscribers. Everything's perfect. Take us back to original, I believe you left BuzzFeed and you went and broke off on your own. And that alone must have been scary. And then to have to not have the back of a big company to do this by yourself and then to be producing your own content. Did we burn the first couple of pancakes? How did we start messy? What did you do first?
Of course it was messy. I left my job with probably 2, maybe 3 months of savings in my bank account. A decision I would not have made now, honestly. But I had never allowed myself to take a risk for myself. I've always been like I'm going to be a doctor, engineer, whatever, follow the set path. And this was the first time I was like, I'm going to bet on me, which was terrifying. But before I quit my job, I spent probably the last year before I left preparing, honestly, on the weekends, brainstorming how I would do this, speaking to an accountant, how could I afford this, and getting really difficult feedback. They're you can't, don't do this, I moved into a very small studio apartment. with a roommate and tried to save as much money as I could. And this was all before I left my job, like basically living, I guess, below what I could afford to become comfortable with that. And then when I left, I felt like I have no choice, but there's only one plan, and it is plan A. So fortunately from there, I mean, I just started making videos, and they were bad videos. Like, they are not challenge accepted. They are not what you see on their channel. Please do not go look them up. I'm a little embarrassed now, but it's fine. It's like reviewing Starbucks drinks. Like, that's because what I could afford. Okay, I can afford, there's a new weird Frappuccino. I can afford a $3 Frappuccino and shoot it on my phone and edit that myself on like my old computer. So it was definitely about like starting wherever I was allowed and going from there. Now, as things progressed, I was able to invest more into the channel, do bigger projects, try bigger things. But I've found that content creation is an opportunity to be a part of the industry without a suit or a casting director or even an agent having to believe in you. What's unfortunate is I feel like there's a lot of bad press about social media people trying traditional. It's unfortunate because there are so many different types of people who pursue the craft in general, and your first shot at it might not be the best. And I also feel like, again, that was another reason why I wanted to take the class, because I was like, I don't want to be another social media person who tried to audition and then gets put in this thing and everyone thinks the acting is terrible. I don't want that. If you're telling me that followers aren't enough and the craft needs to be improved, whatever it may be, like, put me in, coach. I will do it. I respect that. I respect anybody who has gone to training for whatever they're a professional in.
What do you wish people knew about that crossover of digital to traditional? Because there's this weird, and I think it's starting to go away, but there is this weird holdback, I think, for a lot of actors to get started on social media, on any platform. And I think it's less because I think TikTok like opened the doors for a lot of people to be like, oh, this doesn't have to be as big as YouTube might be. But what do you wish people knew? What do you wish you could like demolish in terms of like the stereotype of being on social media versus also having a career in traditional acting?
I wish that casting directors could view the social media as a part of the work or a part of the person who is auditioning. I think that sometimes people look at someone's social channel and they're like, well, they don't do anything close to this character. Well, neither do 99% of the people auditioning who have a regular desk job or work literally any other survival job. I also think that just the acting industry in general, I think that there needs to be some evolution in general because, like, I have friends who went to acting conservatories where you're not allowed to audition for projects while you are in class. To me, that's counterintuitive. I get it's annoying to the teacher when your student books something, but also isn't that the objective of the degree, to book something?
Yes.
So those are things that just don't make sense to me. And what's, I think, really exciting about younger millennials and Gen Z and generations to come is that people are way more vocal and like less go with the flow about some of these extremely outdated things, which is putting pressure on institutions to change. So I really think that both of these industries just need to exist together would be ideal for me. And I also think that they're, less so now, like you were saying, like in the beginning of my channel, I feel like there was some confusion about the quality I and my team were going for versus like, oh, this is different from the YouTube I know. Like the YouTube I know is not very good quality or just like screaming vlogs. And I think that if I were to talk to anybody, like, what TV shows are you watching right now? You would list probably like maybe 2 shows that you're currently watching, but there are thousands of shows on TV. Many of them are not good. It's the same for any entertainment platform. Like, many videos on TikTok or on YouTube are not good, but once a year, there's going to be a Severance. There's going to be a Succession. And just because Succession is good doesn't mean every show on TV is good. It means that group of people are really great at their craft. And I think the same is for YouTube and TikTok. Like there are amazingly talented quality content creators on any social media platform. And I just kind of wish like everyone could be judged as an individual creator rather than like somebody does something stupid and the whole platform is written off as like, oh, crazy influencers or TikTokers or whatever.
Yeah, it's the stereotype, right? And I agree with you about the combining of both these worlds, because to me, it still reminds me of when I went to college for acting. The film school was on the other side of the campus, and our theater performance school never worked with the film school. We were so separate.
What?
I know. And I think they're probably better about it now. I think they've like taken the note. But looking back, I was like, oh, I could have gotten on camera. And I made a big push to go meet those people and to be like, what are you working on? I'll do it. I'm here tomorrow. What do you want to do? But I think that is what reminds me of how a lot of people get a little hoity-toity about traditional film and television and commercials, and they look at social media as like, well, it's like the lesser than. And I'm like, I don't think so at all. And I, in fact, think you're missing out on a hugely tapped in audience and network of people with that classic viewpoint. The same way my theater school was like, well, we're not working with film. It's like, we're missing out.
Oh, absolutely. I also think about like, let's take any of the press tours that have happened for any of summer movies without naming any Struck Productions.
Yeah.
The actor on set actually acting is such a percentage of the entire package required of an actor. An actor nowadays is also expected to do professional interviews, press tours, show up on a red carpet knowing how to be styled, interacting with fans, in many cases, not all, like creating promotional content, being in the know of what's going on. A digital creator will know how to do literally 6 of those 7 tasks already, with the exception of the acting, which is the most important part for sure. But I wish that traditional could also see, dang, this is an opportunity for us to invest in a different type of, or just a more diverse set of people at times.
Yeah. I mean, the media training's at a 10. I'm sure you agree.
For a lot of people, I'm so impressed. Like anytime I go to a YouTube thing and people are speaking on a panel, like it's incredible how well PR trained these other YouTubers are.
And a lot of times self-taught too, because they're like, oh, people want to talk to me now. My last question is for a lot of our actors out there who are inspired by this conversation or thinking like, okay, I'm finally going to turn on my iPhone. I'm just going to like make a channel or whatever it is. It took me a long time to start to exist on YouTube. And I'm a tiny, tiny, tiny little baby on the platform. But what should they know going forward in the year 2023, where it seems like there's so many people with such big followings? It seems like it's too late. What can actors do who want to start their own channel?
I really think you just have to go for it, and you have to accept it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be glamorous, but that's how pretty much everybody starts, even as an actor in a non-social media setting. And I think that you will be pleasantly surprised by what you can find and learn about yourself as an actor doing the social media thing. I think that creating your own content is going to give you a competitive advantage as an actor. Maybe not every casting director will see it at the gate, but when you have the understanding of like 360 what's happening on production, what it really takes to take a project from A to Z, and not just your acting part of things, but all the other departments, I think that empathy and appreciation will make you a better technical actor too. I say as not having booked many things.
Listen, you've been in front of the camera more this year than a lot of us have. So that to me, that is what counts. So we'll take it. I think we have to wrap there for today, but I just want to say thank you so much for your time and for doing what you're doing, because I think I want to see you succeed so badly in the traditional acting way, because to me, it shows that you can build your own world and still succeed at the things that require other people's permission. So please keep doing what you're doing, because I really love it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And again, I was so flattered when you asked me to be a part of this. I love what you're doing. I love how approachable it is in an industry that is so unapproachable. So thank you. Thank you so
Oh.
much.
I'll just fangirl out for the rest of the day.